Hi everyone, it's Chris here from Retro Consoles UK. So, as you know, I pick up a lot of games consoles, and a lot of people with the best intent sell them to you, saying they're definitely working, there's nothing wrong with them, but unfortunately that's not always the case. So I've bought recently 4 consoles, so 3 PlayStation 2 consoles and 1 PlayStation 1 console. So I have no way of checking before I buy them, because I tend to buy them on Facebook Marketplace. I drop them off, pick them up, give them the money, and I tend not to have any way of really seeing how they work. So today is the PlayStation Lottery. So I'm going to see out of all these consoles we bought. So here's one, pretty standard. Here's another one, pretty standard. And there's a couple more set up here. We're going to see out of the 4 that we bought, how many of them are actually fully working and won't be used as spares and repairs. So with all that as well, I got 5 PlayStation 2 controllers. So recently I've been having a lot of issues with PlayStation controllers not working. So much so I've had to go out and buy third-party brand new controllers just to bundle up the consoles, because so many issues I'm having with the controllers at the moment. So I'm also going to test them as well. So I'm going to pick a game that goes pretty fast. So what I'm looking to test is the disc drawer is responsive, so it opens and closes really well. That the power turns on, that it reads the game as well, and it plays the game through for about a couple of minutes time. So we'll fire through them now. We'll get through them and we'll see if we can get, are all 4 consoles going to be working, or are we going to get some busts? Or are they all not going to be working? We'll see what we manage to get. Let's fire right into it then. So I've hooked it up. So I've hooked up a power cable and an AV cable. So the first one turns on. That's a good start. Let's see. So the game I've stuck in is Gran Turismo 3. I know this definitely works because this is out of my personal collection. We'll fire through it and we'll see how many of them we can get working. And if they are generally working, all of them, that's great. But that is not always the case. So we'll see. So first up, checking. The analog light comes on. See it there, my finger is? The analog light comes on. That's a good start. You always, when you're testing consoles, you always want to try and get a game as well that uses all the buttons on the controller. Things like Sonic and Mega Drive and stuff, they're great because all the buttons are easy to use, it's fast to check, and it's easy to check, and you know they're all working because every button is used in the game. More modern games, it's a little bit more difficult, but driving games are normally pretty good because they use most of the buttons, or pretty much most games, but you want something that's quick and easy to test. So let's check. So bad start. So the PlayStation turns on, that's a good start. The PlayStation turns on, that's a good start. The disc drawer, it's responsive, it's not slow, it's not jamming, which is always good. So pop the game in and make sure it can read it as well. So as part of buying and selling console, this is something you need to do a lot of. Spend half my time just testing consoles. Obviously you're buying stuff in, you need to make sure it's tested 100% before you sell it on. So you need to do at least a good 5 minutes on each console, testing everything and making sure it's all good to go. So that's read the disc, that's a good start. Let's see if the controller is responsive and working. We can put it in the good box. If not, the controller we would just throw in the bin. The console we'd probably maybe sell as spares and repairs, but looking good so far, looking good. So D-pad working fine. Yep, X is working fine. That's a good start. We know the D-pad's definitely working. We know the X button's working. We don't have a memory card in here. That skips scenes, so we know the start button's working. We want to just skip through any race, it doesn't really matter, because we're not playing the game, we're just testing the console. Because we're testing the console on a driving game, you want to do manual, because then it uses more buttons up. Remember, you're not playing the game, you're just testing it. So use manual transmission, and you can check all the gears and stuff. X is working good. R1 is good. R2 is good because it's circulating through the gears. Changing gears, no problem at all. It comes down gears, it's no problem. The analog sticks are working good as well. Square works perfect. So I would say that was a pass. The controller works fine. I'll maybe do a lap just to give the console a good run through. And then we can tick this off as definitely working. So I'm happy with that. So that's great news. The first one is definitely working. The controller is definitely working. The console's definitely working. That's one ticked off. Great start. So we'll just eject the game. We'll shut down the console. We'll keep these cables because we know these cables definitely work. So that's 1 from 1, so great start. Next up, we'll do another one. Console. Like I say, with people's best intent, they always say the console is working. A lot of times when you're buying older games consoles, they've been sat in the cupboard or the loft or the shed for 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. So things can happen to them. They might have been working before, but they might have got water damage. They might have got something might have damaged inside or corrupted, you know. So or that might have been the reason why they put it in the loft in the first place, because it stopped working. So we'll fire through. They might not be looking intentionally to scam you. They might just be, it was working fine before, but that was 15, 20 years ago, you know. So you always need to check everything out and test it all before you manage to sell it on. Because people expect it, they're buying a console for me to work 100%. So we'll fire into the next one. We'll grab another controller. I mean, the recent luck I've had with controllers, I'd be happy if 3 of them worked out of the 5. That's how bad it's got at the moment with PS2 controllers. Always a bonus that there's a game inside as well. That is a bonus because I had the box here and I was hoping it would be inside one of these. So let's turn it on. Analog buttons coming on the controller, that's a good start. It's loaded the disc, another good thumbs up. The power's on, fine. D-pad's good. Up and down. X is good. Start button is good. Sometimes it can just be one button doesn't work, which is really frustrating because essentially the whole controller is useless unless you really know how to fix it and what you're doing. For me, it makes it useless. So left and right on the D-pad works fine. Yeah, all good. So all good so far. All good. Everything seems to be working so far, which is great. Which is great news. So R1 is working. R2 is working. L2 and L and R2 are working. Drop down the gear yet. That's square. Square is good. Triangle, reverse, all good. The D-pad is good. The analog stick is good. So I'm happy with that. The last thing I need to test, which I didn't test before, is the tray. I did test it on the first console, but I've not tested it on this one. So the tray is nice and responsive as well, which is great. So I would say that was a win. I would say both. I'm happy with both the controller and I'm happy with the console. And then next up, it's the last of the PS2s. Let's see if we can get a full house on PS2s. That would be great. Power's on, good start. Controller. I'm going to test the rest of these controllers as well while I've got them here. Like I said, if I can get 3 of them are working, that would be great, because then I've got 3 to bundle up with the consoles. This one does have a bit of a rattle in it. Broken plastic, possibly. And we had our first one that's not working. So this is the controller. I think this might be the controller. I hope it's the controller. I think that one's probably a bust. Let's check this one. Better. Disk drive is good. Will it read the disc? Now, that is the next question. We know the disc is good because we've had it for the last couple. Struggling to read the disc. Let's reset the console. Maybe it could have been an issue because I changed the controller. But we'll find out now, because it should read the disc straight away, near enough. Because we know the disc isn't an issue, because we've had it working on both the other 2. Here we go. Tinkerbell. Great news. It's reading the disc. Like I say, it might have been It didn't read it straight away, but maybe because when I changed the controller over, could be, I don't know, but it's reading it now, which is great news. So far we've only had one faulty controller, which is great news. D-pad's all good, X is good. Start button's working good. If I can see from behind the cat, I will be able to test this one. Down works fine on the D-pad. The analog light's on. Left and right works fine. X works fine. Manual, remember, so we can test all the shoulder pads. R1 is good, L1 is good, R2 is good, L2 is good. Brake, perfect. Triangle is reverse, excellent. Circular is handbrake, that works good as well. So perfect, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is switch that console off. I know this controller's good to go. And I'm going to try the last one out of these lot. So far, it's only been the rattly one. That's a no-go. I'll double check it one last time before I throw it in the bin. X button straight away, perfect. Nobody can see where you're standing there, my love. So let's check. This one is working. If we can get 4 working controllers, that would be great news. D-pad's good. X is good. Start is good. Because there's nothing worse getting a brand new console off eBay or wherever it may be, getting it home, and then the controller doesn't work. I can't think of anything worse. Up and down works good. X, like I say, is good. Left and right on the D-pad is good. R1, R2 are good. L1's good. L2's good. Brake is good. So square, triangle is good. Handbrake is good, which is O, or circle. So brake. Like I said, I want to just test one more time before I throw the controller away. That is a dud. Because I never used to have this many issues with PlayStation 2 controllers. And maybe in the last 6 months I've had so many issues. I've had to throw so many of them away. Which is a shame because the price of them are shot up now, probably for that reason, you know? The triangle's not working, X is not working. Yep, definitely a dud. Definitely a dud. That one. So one so far in the bin. Now we're going to jump onto the PlayStation 1. Unplug that. So good news, the 4 work, which is great news. So now we're going to test the PlayStation 1 out. Again, everyone's best intention is everything's working. A real bonus with this PlayStation I picked up though is a brand new in the box memory card. I didn't even know you could get, they came like this. It's a brand new PlayStation 1 memory card. No, it's not. It's an old memory card that somebody has written on, but they've just put it back in the box. The dinkiest little box I've ever seen. So the memory card does come there. They've just kept the box, which I've never seen. This tiny little, let me know if you've seen one of these before. I've never seen a memory card box like that before. Normally in the big plastic things, if you find memory cards. Let's find a game, PS1 game to stick on this. Mortal Kombat will do. So hopefully this PlayStation's working. It's great. We've nearly got a full house. Apart from that one controller. Good start. It turns on, which is always the first thing. Well, it turns on, then the disc tray opens and closes fine. Next is if it can read the disc. Obviously there's no analog button on original PlayStation controller. It just kind of comes as it did. They did obviously make a dual shock for them, but it doesn't have a dual shock this time. She is a little bit noisy, but she's reading the disc, which is good. So D-pad's working, X is working. D-pad's fully working. Let's pick somebody. It doesn't really matter because you're just testing it, you know? It loads the game, it runs the game, it's working all the way through. Let's just make sure the controller works. Triangle good, square good, circle good, X good. Let's just have a quick fight, make sure the console's fine. Be easier if the cat wasn't in the way. Right in the way there, Tinkerbell. Is that working freely enough? So it's all good. Happy with that. The console runs fine. It plays discs. I'm happy with that. So out of everything, so today's experiment, it is a resounding result. I'm happy with that. Sometimes you expect controllers not to work. So for only one not to work, so what I'll do now, I'll clip this like I did with this controller here. Clip the end so I know it's no good. And perfect. So thank you very much for watching. A completely different kind of video from what I normally do. This is testing stuff out, making sure it's all working. It's always a gamble when you buy secondhand stuff from Facebook or whether it may be. So to get nearly everything working apart from one controller, I'm super happy with. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.